nation's most engaging platform where we, the people, run the show. We are honored to have Michael Letts, founder, president, and CEO of Invest USA. He will be discussing the partial government shutdown chaos and how it affects the Department of Homeland Security, our borders, and first responders. Next Thursday, we are going to be having retired Colonel Douglas McGregor. He joins us live to break down the escalation of the war in Iran, America's strategic risks, and why this could be another long, unwinnable conflict. But next week, it's at 8 p.m. Eastern instead of 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to give the Colonel extra time because, as you all know, he likes to talk a lot, and he didn't get a lot of time last time. So we're gonna work on that. Don't forget, this coming Monday, join hashtag Pastors Point every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Hashtag Pastors Point. We're deep diving in chapter 17 in the book of Revelation. We need the warrior support, so keep this mission charging forward. Our team thrives on the generosity of patriots like you, so please visit givesendgo.com/RedAmericaFirst/donate. For those that are joining the live stream, we're looking to grow our panel, cover all the 50 states, so, you can engage with guests like Michael Letts, General Flynn, and next week, Colonel McGregor. Please go to RedAmericaFirst.com. Tell us what state you're in. Every week we start with prayer, Pledge of Allegiance, and the national anthem. So tonight we're going to call on our host of Pastors Point, Dr. Aaron Gray, to lead us into prayer. Thank you so much in advance, Pastor. Thank you.
Hey guys, let us pray. Heavenly Father, Lord God, we come before your throne in admiration and worship of who you are. Lord, we thank you for all you've given us, the grace, the mercy, the love that you've shown us, Father, that you willingly left the throne to come down to walk on this earth in human flesh, to go to the cross, shed your blood, give your body, die so that our sin could be forgiven, and 3 days later walk out of the grave so that we could be redeemed. Lord, we thank you for the work you did in our lives and you continue doing in our lives through the process of sanctification. Heavenly Father, Lord, you know that tonight we have town hall and it's already been kind of messed up. Lord, we ask you just to let there be no more mishaps as we move forward. Let this be done in your will and in your way, Father, as we strive not for our desire, not for our wants, Father, but what you want for this country. We move in a direction that you point us in, Father. Let it not be our desires, our plans, our purposes that come to fruition, but Lord, let it be your will that is shown, your purpose achieved, your plans made forth and put forth here for us to follow. Not just in this country, Lord, but in our lives, in our daily walks. This is what we pray. This is our desire, Father. And that your word says, we come asking in the name, your righteous and just forgive us. So we lift up people who are hurting, people who are broken, like Ashley's mother, Rob's mother-in-law, and Sharon's father. Lord, we ask you to touch them, heal them, be with them, Lord God, as they go through and deal with what they have to deal with, Father. Remind their families that they are not struggling through this, enduring this alone, but you are there with them, holding them, loving them. Despite the pain they're in, you are there with them, and they can rely and lean on you in that pain, in that hurt. And Lord, we just ask you to remind us that you to keep our hearts, our minds focused on you, on heavenly things, not in this world, but always moving forward towards you, lifting you up. In the holy and precious name we say, amen.
Thank you so much for that, Pastor Gray. Now I'm going to call on myself to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America with liberty and justice for us all. Oh my goodness, I think I just screwed it up. Amber, I'm going to call on you to do the national anthem. This is Amber Stockhausen from South Carolina. Thank you so much, and I appreciate it.
Hi there, welcome everybody. All right. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Amazing job, Amber. As always, I do want to fix the Pledge of Allegiance from fast. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with liberty and justice for us all. So that was an amazing introduction for you, Michael Letts. You know, Amber does a great job, and I screwed a little bit, but Dr. Dr. Aaron did a great job with prayer. So just before you get started, tell us a little bit about you, where you're from, your hobbies, and how did you get to this place where you're at today. Thank you so much for coming on Hashtag Town Hall. Thank you.
And thank you for that rendition. You know, the history behind that song is amazing, and we'll have to talk about that sometime. Price that was paid for that blessed flag. But anyway, my name is Michael Letts. I'm a minister. But on top of that, I grew up on the mission field. My parents were missionaries in Mexico. In fact, I've been helping with the administration in Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta, Talapia, which is where I grew up. That is where we had the occurrence with the Mincho, the cartel leader that we had to apprehend and take out down that way. He was heavily involved. You know, the cartels are not just dealing with drugs, they're dealing with human sex trafficking as one of their main operations. In fact, for that matter, most people don't realize that with closing the border with this administration, with the Trump administration, closing the border and the measures that we have taken, it's costing the cartels with their human sex trafficking operations as well over $100 billion in revenue a year. They're losing over $100 billion. So obviously they're not pleased with that, and that's why they're creating such havoc south of the border, trying to figure out what they can do to reopen up those revenue sources. Our children are not for sale, and we are not going to allow that to happen, nor are we going to allow them to continue to poison the American system with fentanyl and the rest of the situation. But that having been said, I grew up in Mexico. I attended Liberty University. That was a Dr. Jerry Falwell school in Lynchburg, Virginia. Funny note about that, I was a captain of the weightlifting team, and as such, I was his bodyguard. And so I traveled with, I used to call him Doc, Uncle Jerry, and traveled with Doc for the years I was there. Of course, Ronald Reagan had just been elected, and we were at the White House quite often with the President Reagan at that time. I then moved back to my home state in Columbia, South Carolina, which is where we are currently broadcasting from at the moment. And my family's been here in South Carolina since the early 1600s. So we have vast real estate holdings from the Queen at the time, I believe it was. It had been here for quite some time, and we developed real estate. And at the time when I came back, I decided that I would get involved like my forefathers did and got involved with public service, public office, served on council, but also wanted to realize that our law enforcement officers did not have the necessary body equipment to protect themselves, i.e. bulletproof vests. So we started a charity in 1993. That was 33 years ago. They had 52% of cops had no protection. We got that down to 19%, but then they changed the game. They began to use long-range rifles. Most people don't realize the older vests, the ones you saw under your shirt, would only protect you from a sidearm, not a knife or not a long-range rifle. That's what the cartels are using now. So we had to create new technology called active shooter vest. Unfortunately, we still have 90% of cops who do not have the new technology active shooter vest. But yet I want to remind our listeners tonight and our viewers that when you see a tragedy come on in mainstream media, and I don't believe too much of what the mainstream media would has to say, but they will show you clips when there's an active shooter shooting in a church, in a mall, wherever it might be. You'll notice those officers come pulling up and they've got the concealable vest on. They don't have the necessary equipment, but they're running into harm's way anyway, because it takes a very special person. Romans 13 tells us that. It's a very special person to be a law enforcement officer. And they care about our community. They care about our safety. The least we can do is to make sure they have the ability to do that. While I was involved, I've also been involved with our national intelligence agencies and special operations. So got quite a varied background and a lot more things coming out here in the near future. But I'm honored to be with you because this is the key, folks. Mainstream media will not tell you the truth. And it's organizations such as this that are the hope for America, because the truth will set you free. But how will they know the truth unless they can hear it? And you're providing that mechanism and that vehicle to do so. And I thank you for the opportunity. God bless you and God bless America because of it.
Thank you so much, Michael. And with the partial government shutdown creating real chaos at the Department of Homeland Security, how are you seeing this directly impacting border security operations right now, especially when agents and officers are already stretched thin, trying to stop fentanyl, illegal crossings, and then the sleeper cells that are incoming? Go ahead.
You're exactly right. We'll work our way backwards as to how we got into this mess, but let's take where we're at today. Situation we're involved with Iran. Of course, you know, Iran, we've decimated Iran, but it's not just Iran. Iran has over 1,000 sleeper cells globally. Most of those are located in the United States. So that's a lot of sleeper cells in our presence. And we have intercepted encrypted messaging that they have called upon their sleeper cells to activate. We know that for a fact. We've seen it here over the last, if you paid attention, the last week and a half. You've seen everything from an IED at Gracie Mansion in New York City being thrown. Fortunately, it didn't detonate because they didn't know how to work the operations too well. But we've seen that. We've seen it in Austin, Texas. We've seen it in DC, Cincinnati. And more of those are occurring. In fact, had just a couple occur today. The Temple in Michigan, and you see other aspects of that happening as well. So those active sleeper cells are there. They're present. We know that they're present. And quite frankly, one of the things that's frustrating about this is we seem to still have an attitude, even in our government, that we want to be careful not to be offensive. We know that there's a link, but we don't want you to know that. We'll take a look at it and see, folks, you can't deal with situations unless you deal with the truth. And it's time that we spread the truth. We know for a fact that the Islamic jihadists have one target and one target alone, and that's the United States of America. They are determined to make us a caliphate. They stated very openly, publicly, either by the ballot box or by bullet, one of the two. And you can see they've already put their start in New York City, among other places, and Los Angeles. And so we have got to be visual. We cannot allow America to fall on the basis of the evil that is being tried to be portrayed on the American people. And so when we get now, as we work our way backwards, let's talk about the funding issue. Homeland Security, just to show you the Democrats and the leftist liberals, their viewpoint and philosophy. They are so concerned about power. They don't care about you and I. They don't care about, what is best for the American people. Why would I make such a statement? Well, the Democratic system, you see what's in Congress right now, they block the funding for Homeland Security. Even though we're having these threats from sleeper cells, from the conflict with Iran, the situation with the cartels in Mexico, they don't care. Because why is it so important for them to block the funding? Well, it's so important for them to block it from this standpoint. They want those illegal immigrants here. They don't care whether they have criminal records or not, because they need to be able to utilize them to pad the voting box, to be able to stuff ballots, to be able to do what is necessary. And that's part of it. The other part of it, and this is what they don't like about me, they don't like me to tell you this, but it needs to be said, is they use them to basically steal and defraud the American people for the benefits. You're not an American citizen. You're not entitled to our Social Security. You're not entitled to all the food programs that we offer, welfare, et cetera, et cetera. But the government doesn't care. especially those in that sector, that philosophy. They want to utilize that money. And why is that important to them? Because it's interesting, if you've been in government for a while, you understand how it works. They don't give you the money directly. If they decide that we need to have a child care system, or that you're hungry, you need to be fed in your town, instead of giving you the money directly, we create an NGO, non-governmental organization. And if you only need $100 to feed the program, we're not going to give you 100, we're going to give you $1 million. And then what we expect out of that is, by the time that $1 million goes to the NGO, they take their percentage, they use that percentage to give back to members of Congress for their campaigns, slush funds, etc. You may ultimately get your $100 that you needed. But that's the way their system works. They're enriching themselves. They're defrauding the American people. That is why you see in Congress right now, nobody wants to give that up. You say, oh, but we have enough Republicans. You're seeing it on both sides. We have corruption. We have greed. Whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, makes no difference. They are in a system that enriches themselves and cares about them more than it does the American people. And that's hard to break. And only by the grace of God will we see the American people, if they experience a revival, if they experience an awakening within their hearts, will they be able to turn from this wickedness, and we can crush it once and for all.
Amazing. So as someone who's have dedicated years to equipping, first responders through Invest USA, what concerns you the most in relation to the shutdown affecting the men and women on the front lines at DHS and local law enforcement, particularly when vital funding and resources seem to be delayed or diverted?
Well, that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. Thank you for doing that. And here's the answer or the response to that question. You have to understand, first of all, let's take a look again at the funding issue. What are they trying to do? They're saying we're not funding DHS. That's true, but they're trying to make you think that they're only not funding ICE. And the only reason they're not funding ICE is because they want them to not wear masks. They want them to say ahead of time if we're going to be invited to go into a state to help remove illegal immigrants, all hogwash stuff to begin with. But that's not true. ICE has already been funded with a big, beautiful bill. The people that are affected by this lack of funding through Homeland Security are your Coast Guard, your Border Patrol, your TSA, FEMA, and others. Now, who is protecting our borders at the moment? Coast Guard and our Border Patrol. Those are the key. But those are the ones that are having to go and work without being paid. Those are the ones that are being put on a thin line, thin budget. And so what they're trying to do is recreate what they had a few years back, an open border system to allow them to pour across our border. We're not going to do that. We will involve military assistance if necessary. The president has the right to do that, and he will invoke that. He's already done it before. He'll invoke it again if he needs to defend our borders. But that's how far they will go. Now, you need to understand the threat across the border. Why is the threat so big? If you'll go back, you'll see how all this ties in, greed, and how people they don't serve the public anymore. They serve themselves. And what you have is you had Ukraine. You remember Ukraine was the big issue in the last administration. We wanted to put all the money into saving a democracy that was there. We put billions and billions of dollars. Here's what we actually found out. The truth of the matter was, though, the billions of dollars that we gave, and it wasn't just cash, it was sophisticated military equipment that was supposed to go over to Ukraine and help defend them against the Russian incursion, actually never got there. Only 30% of it got to the front lines. You say, what happened to the other 70%? Out of their own mouths. We even got testimony from Zelensky testifying to this. They sold it on the black market. Sold America's highest technology to our enemies. Who do you think can afford to buy that kind of technology? The cartels, ISIS, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and others. So they now have our equipment. Do we know this to be true? You remember we just talked about how they had the issue with Mencho, the cartels in Jalisco, Mexico, and in southern Mexico. When we went down to make sure that American citizens, because remember there were thousands of American tourists there, were safe and secure, we encountered 2 rocket launchers that we seized. Now, what do you need to understand about a rocket launcher? That is not an RPG. A rocket launcher is a sophisticated, highly sophisticated U.S. military piece of hardware that can launch a missile to New York City if necessary with a warhead on it. They already have these. They've got drones, military-grade drones that they bought on the black market. So now you begin to see the picture. You ask the initial question, how is this lack of funding for DHS affecting border security? You can see it very clearly now. Our biggest threat is now occurring. And what are we doing to the officers? Well, let me just ask a general question to all of our listeners. And this is because I've been in law enforcement for 33 years now. If you're a cop and you're working for an agency that won't give you the equipment, in fact, right now, they're telling you to work for free. You say, well, you're going to get it later. Call your power company and say, I'm not going to pay my bill this month because my government won't give me my paycheck. But don't worry, I'll pay you next month when the money comes. Doesn't work too well. The stress that they have to begin with. And then you're going to add stress on there by not paying them. You're going to make sure they don't have the necessary protective equipment. What kind of message would that send you? I'll tell you what it sends to the average American. This agency, this organization doesn't care about me. Why would you want to subject your family and yourself to working in an occupation that they don't care for you, that here it's a different standard for law enforcement. In America, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. In law enforcement, you're guilty till proven innocent. Something goes wrong, it's automatically your fault. You did something the wrong way. And then you've got all these bureaucrats who are they've never worn a badge, don't even know what a gun looks like, but are trying to tell you how to do your job. And if you don't do it the way they say they want you to do it, you can end up going to jail. Why would anybody wear a badge? You know, the number one problem we have in law enforcement today across the country is getting people to wear the badge anymore. We've got so many of them that are retiring or just getting out, just saying, you know, I've got 23 years, I got to have 25 to retire. Well, you can hold on for 2 more years. No, I can't. I'm just leaving. I'm going to go find something else to do. That's occurring by the thousands all across our country. Folks, if we don't turn this ship around, we're going to have anarchy, because what happens if you don't have anybody that can defend and uphold the law? You'll have anarchy. That's where we're headed. That is the hard truth. I know nobody wants to hear what's being said tonight, but that's the hard truth. And it doesn't go away just because you don't hear it. Better for you to hear it, and let's determine how we're going to handle it, what we're going to do to fix it, than to bury your head in the sand and end up dead later.
Perfect. So those that are watching the live stream and the panel members, we're getting ready to open up the Q&A session. So go ahead and start building that queue up for me. Michael, you said some things already on this podcast tonight with us that gave us a strike on TikTok. So they said something. So we must be over the target. You know, I'm an expert at the censorship stuff. So you've been spoken about government waste and misplaced priorities during the shutdown. Do you see taxpayer dollars that could be protecting our borders and first responders instead of being held up or funneled elsewhere?
Yes.
You know, like fraud and things like this. How does that hit home for the officers you work with every day? Thank you.
Well, I love what you just said, because I'm going to capitalize on it. You know, you take a look at the fraud. You know, we're talking about just in Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota is just the tip of the iceberg, by the way. It is what our analysts show now is we probably over 50%, and we're thinking it's closer to 70% of our debt. And remember, we're at 35 trillion. Close to 70% is due to fraud, fraudulent abuse, and waste of the taxpayers' money. And I'm not just talking about, well, I paid $1 more for a bolt than I should have. No, that's not even on the radar screen. The kind of fraud we're talking about is where an actual stealing or abuse, where you have members of Congress, because there's nothing in the law that says a member of Congress can't serve on an NGO and then an NGO can't pay them. We have the documentation for all this. We have many, many members of Congress that serve on the NGOs, make sure that the funding bill goes through, and then they get paid for their service on top of their service for Congress. Folks, we have become such a corrupt country. I was telling on the Hill in the White House that we greatly appreciate what this administration is doing to globally to free people from tyranny. And what is the tyranny we're freeing them from? We're freeing them from corruption. But I have to tell you this. I think America is the most corrupt country in the world right now. And I'm begging the president, we need to focus all of our efforts, all of our resources on freeing the American people. It is our time. It is our turn to be freed of the tyranny of the corruption that has gripped this nation. Let's break its back once for all. This truly is the biggest battle between evil and good that's ever existed before. And it's time, by God's grace, that we can win this battle, but we all have to be engaged. So don't just listen and sit back on the couch and then turn to a different channel. Get up and do something about it. United we stand, divided we fall. Thank you so much for that opportunity.
From your perspective as a veteran and a 9/11 first responder, what message would you want to send to patriots watching this shutdown chaos unfold? And how can we best support our border agents and first responders when Washington seems to put politics ahead of their safety? I'm really fed up with the uniparty putting Americans at risk instead of doing the right thing. What say you?
Well, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let's divide your question into two. We'll talk about what they can do for first responders. Secondly, let's talk about what they can do now to save America. Because I have so many people telling me I believe exactly what you're saying, but what do you want me to do about it? What can I do? I'm one person. You could do a tremendous amount. And here's what I encourage you to do. First and foremost, it's time that we find our moral courage as a people. You know, oftentimes you hear people that are critical. I can't believe that we have that policy, or I don't like that particular president, this, that. And we'll sit there and just smile and just not say anything because we don't want to be offensive. Folks, now is the time to find your backbone, stand up for the truth, tell the truth, because a lie will continue to become bigger and bigger unless it's exposed. Tell the truth about what's happening in this country. Tell the truth about the defrauding of America. Tell them how it affects them personally. You like to have your money stolen? Do you like to have your family at risk? Do you like to have your loved ones raped, murdered, and killed because of the policies that we've had? I don't think anybody wants that. It's time that we stand up for the truth first and foremost. And then second of all, it's time you have to get engaged. You say, well, I'm going to go to the polls anyway. Don't just go to the polls. Take somebody with you. Volunteer. Get on a phone bank. Decide you're going to come out. The biggest threat that we face in the midterm elections, and why are the midterm elections important? Because if the Democrats take control, they will simply do one thing. All we're going to do is shut down all your programs and just concentrate on impeaching the president and take 2 years to do it so he can do nothing. And they will work on getting a Democratic elected president in 2028. That's their goal. That's their mission. Remember, they're more concerned about power than anything else. Definitely you and I. They're more concerned about getting power. So make sure that you work hard and get out and bring others. Make that this is the most important election this midterm. Yes, it was important 2 years ago in 2024, but it's even more important that we maintain it. So make sure that you don't just sit back and do nothing. Get involved. Now, translated into the final part of your question. Go ahead.
I was just going to interject on something that I want to challenge. We have control of the House and Senate now. We're not passing no legislation. What's the excuse? We're worried about midterms. I remind everybody on this platform that the uniparty wants to stay in power so the other party doesn't come up, and we all get played. I mean,
we are being played.
We got the presidency, we got the upper and lower chamber. Why we can't pass any legislation to make America and make Americans first?
And let's capitalize on what you just said. I don't want you to just think, oh, I've got to vote against a Democrat. You need to vote for people with principle. I don't care what party they are. In fact, we'd be better off not to have any parties right now. You just run without a party and decide this is the character and the faith and the values that I possess. Judge me on my values and my character. Don't judge me on a party. That's what we should be doing. But this is what I'm asking for every American. I don't care whether they're Republicans or not. If they are not having the values and the faith and the character that made this country great, it's time to get rid of them. We have primary challenges coming up. Make sure that if he says, well, I'm a conservative, but his voting record doesn't show it, he needs to be challenged. You'll have people say, well, you can't do that because we might lose the majority if you challenge some of those. Look, it's not about, we don't care whether we have the majority or not. We care whether we bring righteousness back to this country. Having a majority does absolutely nothing if you cannot stand for truth. And so make sure that the key here is that you stand, know where their candidates stand, where they have values and faith. Don't listen to the rhetoric. Everybody tells you what you want to hear and nobody does what they say they're going to do. Make sure you look at their actions. Make sure that you view what their track record is. And then when you know what their decisions are and their policies, make it known to the people around you. This is what I was saying. We've got to have a backbone. We've got to get engaged. We have to fight for this country. And I don't care whether it's fighting against Republicans or Democrats. We have to fight for the truth. That's what will save this country, because you're exactly right. Fighting for a party, we have been let down. I don't think there's ever been a time when we were promised by Republicans that they ever delivered. Do you? I can't recall one.
I'm just hoping that we could finally get rid of Obamacare, but it's never going to happen. But I got one last question. I'm going to open it up to the panel.
Sure.
Looking ahead, what practical steps do you believe Congress and the administration should take right now to secure our borders, shield, DHS operations, and make sure our first responders never have to choose between doing their job and having the gear the gear that they need, even during funding standoffs like this?
Two main things. First of all, election integrity. Make sure that you can only vote if you're a citizen, and that you have to prove that you have the ability to vote, that you have the right to vote in this country. That needs to be first and foremost. We have to save our elections. Second of all, we have to have accountability. We have to hold people accountable. You said, what's that got to do with funding on the border, et cetera? If people don't believe right now that there's any consequences to them stealing and defrauding you of all the billions of dollars, trillions for that matter, that they have taken from the American people, nothing else matters. So hold people accountable. We have a whole list. We could spend hours talking about what's going on with previous administrations, that they should be indicted. In fact, we're working on that. The military tribunals, that's a whole nother section. There's a lot to go over, but folks, demand accountability, demand election integrity, and demand accountability. You want to violate the law, that's your choice, but you will be held accountable for it. We have not done that to this point, and if we don't do it, we're going to lose this country.
Michael, before I open it up to the panel, I got to tell you, I really like you a lot. Everything you said tonight, it's like, so we're going to open it up to the panel now. There's some strict rules tonight. You shall ask a question, no preface, no statements. You ask a question and let Michael respond. Michael has 3 minutes to respond, and we're going into this lightning round. Okay, I'm calling on our Christian pillar leader from Tennessee, Teresa Wiggins. So I'm gonna pull her up here, and then Teresa, please go ahead with you're gonna kick it off tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Michael, for everything, for serving as a military person and all. So my question to you is, you mentioned that the tribunals were happening. Do you really believe that they are we're going to see in our lifetime, my lifetime, that these people that have committed treasonous acts, for example, I don't want to get you another strike, but I'm thinking, you know who I'm talking about, Obama,
Well, I can tell you this, let me answer that question right now. Those military tribunals have already convened. They have already prepared what is necessary for the indictments. To answer your question specifically, tribunals can only be authorized by the commander-in-chief, by the president of the United States. Will the president of the United States get enough pressure that no, you're getting where we don't need to be? Let's leave that alone. I pray not. I believe at this stage he has the courage to do so. But if he does it, then the answer to your question, you'll never see it. But if we never see it, America's gone. America, there's nothing we can do to save this country. We are at that point. Either we hold people accountable, or America is gone. Mm-hmm. That is why our Constitution gave the ability for military tribunals. We already have a corrupt judicial system. Let's just be honest. We have a corrupt judicial system. The Constitution realized that if the people you depend on to protect you, your military, if you can't trust them anymore, you don't have a country anyway. It's over. So that is why they gave the opportunity, one last chance, to establish military tribunals to hold accountable. And the reason they picked military is because we're the ones on the front line who see combat, who know what freedom means and the price that it takes. And if we can't defend freedom, then it's over.
Amen.
Thank you for that question, Teresa. Good answer, Michael. Go ahead.
Very brief question, Michael. We all claim to be true patriots, but I have been listening to you. I have only simple question.
Yes, sir.
You know the Constitution. You know the monetary system. Do you know financial monetary system of this country at this point? Can we get explanation from you folks? Anybody claiming today in this country to be a true patriot, I want them to explain only one thing to me. The financial monetary system of this nation. How did we get here? And that is where the problem lies, and nobody talks about it.
Thank you for that question, Ken. Go ahead and respond.
Ken, I
Michael.
agree with you, and I'll give you a short answer. The full answer would take another hour or two on your show, but I'll give you the quick answer. The Federal Reserve System is a corrupt system. It has never been a part of our federal government as people think it is. It was set up by financiers to basically rob the American people. They've been doing that for over a century. And quite frankly, that's where our adjustment, and we have to change that system.
Thank you for that question, Ken. Good answer. Leslie, same rules apply. Go ahead with your question.
Michael, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Wow. First of all, I just want to tell you how awesome it is for you to be so outspoken and speak God's truth and not be afraid. Myself and my friend Connie Thayer were both in DC J6, so we're not afraid. But my question for you is, what do we do with these midterms coming up? Obviously, get involved with the polls, take people to the polls. What else can we do? Because we need to turn up everybody, you know, even the ones that are like in nursing homes.
How does he feel about
Leslie,
federal
correct. That's what we need to do. But there's another factor we need to do on top of it. While we're planning and preparing and getting that process underway, I want everyone within the sound of my voice to do me a favor. Call the White House and say, we don't get people held accountable. I'm not going to vote. You're going to lose the midterms. Now you make the choice. Which is more important for you? Let them know that accountability is demanded by the American people. And if we do not get a response, then I'm sorry. America's already gone, and I'm not going to waste my time because it's over. You can't fight a battle when you're already dead.
Thank you for that. We're going to call on our magazine chief editor, Rosemarie. Go ahead with your question. Thank you in advance.
Michael, thank you so much. We really are, it opened our eyes to a lot. And I am going to ask you if you would kindly write something for our magazine. It goes out each month. And perhaps you would like to entitle it, "We Need Your Backbone," something like that, in order to make a difference, because this goes out to hundreds of people, and your voice can be heard through that magazine. Would you kindly write something? It's a page, 2 pages, I don't care. We will fit it in.
Rosie, I'd be honored to do that. Let me go ahead and give a general statement to everyone listening. I love to get responses from everybody. I'll answer any question. Go to my our website. My email is mletts, MLETTS, @investusa.org. That's the website. But if you can send me any question or send me any request, and I'll make sure it gets done. We probably do 2 or 3 articles in publications nationally a week. So happy to do that for you. I'm just scared for my memory sometimes. I'll tell you tonight, be glad to. And then when I get off the air, I'll get tied into something else and forget. So if you would send me that email, mletts at investusa, INVEST USA.org. It's a charity.org. We'll be happy to get that accomplished.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rosemarie, for that question. Thank you. So Frank is our state director in Kansas. Go ahead with your question, Frank. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Hey, Michael, thanks for being on and sharing your perspective, observations. I want a big shout out to Billy McGowan over there in Alabama. How's my buddy? Hey, so we're on the 6-year anniversary of the pandemic, chapter 1 of a 4-phase activity going on right now.
Yes.
When is our administration going to take the mRNA military jabs off the market?
My recommendation, and I've been pushing this, is immediately. We know what a scam that was. We know what a devastation it was to our military, to our first responders. It was not by coincidence. It was by happenstance. They did that specifically to destroy our military from within and to destroy our first responders. And I got to give them credit. They did a heck of a job. And now they need to be held accountable for it. Folks, I got to tell you, I've got a CNN hard stop. I've got to get off now to take another interview. But God bless you. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Y'all take care. God bless you. God bless America. I'm looking forward to being back with you again as soon as we can.
Absolutely, we'll have you back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
So that was Michael Letts. A really good interview. Gosh, I wish we had more time with him. What a great guy. I really liked him. So now we're going to go into the state-to-state intel round. I'm going to ask some people to help me run it tonight. I really wasn't supposed to be hosting tonight, but that's a different story. So I'm going to call on some panel members to come up here with me. Okay. Leslie, I'm going to call on Leslie. I'm going to call on some new people as well. We have Billy McGowan. He's I think he's kind of in 2 states. He's kind of in Florida and Alabama, I think, but we're going to get clarification on that in a second. Victoria, our state director in Hawaii, our corruption leader, Migeso, he's got some updates. We have our state leader in Nevada, Ron. He's actually the standard for our intel round when the state to state. So he's going to demonstrate how that looks. I'm just going to call on you guys to help me run it tonight. Ron, you want to go ahead and kick off? Liz will go after you. But go ahead and tell us what's going on in Nevada. Thank you.
Okay. Here.
Leslie, you're still having feedback.
Okay, so there's a crisis center offers alternative to ERs and jail, confronting mental health care shortage in Nevada. This is primarily for Nevada. Swiss businessman pleads guilty to international fraud scheme tied to Nevada. Nevada property tax cap at 3% for the home limit and 8% rental increase each year. That means each year they can raise it 3% for the home, and if you have a rental, they can raise the property tax 8%. Okay, higher education price hikes in Nevada, college tuition and fees set to rise by up to 12%. That's unconscionable. Okay, Nevada used DMV weight data to count overweight SNAP recipients. Okay, FBI closes 2020 election fraud inquiry demanded by Nevada's top federal prosecutor. They said they found 38 non-citizens that voted. And that's it. Corey Harrison, former Nye County Commissioner indicted in alleged COVID-19 relief fraud scheme. Like he embezzled like $400,000, former Nye County Commissioner. Senator Rosen meets with Culinary Union on Las Vegas tourism slowdown. And she's the Democratic senator here in Nevada, and the Culinary Union throws a lot of weight concerning voting. Democracy Defense Project teaches UNLV new voters. So this is a group, bipartisan group of politicians, and UNLV is the college here in university in Nevada, and they're trying to educate new voters. They're trying to show the benefits of the democracy of voting and how to make it transparent. Health officials withdraw controversial septic regulations. And this was something I stated a few weeks back, that the Vegas, Southern Nevada, they were going to charge people and mandate that they hook up to sewer lines from the city. Some people said it was going to cost them $400,000 to do that. others 300,000, on and on. They were going to lose their homes because they couldn't afford the construction costs to hook up. And now the health officials withdraw the regulation. That's a good thing. Nevada likely to fall short of clean energy goals because of data centers. Registrar sends out letters confirming voter information. Well, yeah, they'll send out letters for new voters, and new voters have to respond, but other voters, they don't have to do anything for them. So if they were already illegal, they'll get a letter. They don't have to do anything about it. Anyhow, Cortez Masto, the senator from Nevada, helps implement bill that would prevent bank executives from collecting bonuses in the event of failure. So if the banks fail, she doesn't want the bank executives to get bonuses. Sounds good to me. Night of Power brings Las Vegas Muslim community and Las Vegas police department together amid Middle East tensions. This is a feel-good meeting so they can talk about how terrible it is that people are being upset with these Muslims, and yeah. Popular seafood recalled across 9 states over norovirus risk. And Nevada and a few other, 8 other states are, and it's oysters and clams and that kind of seafood. And it's not a good thing.
Wow.
All right. Nevada implements new SNAP restrictions, and that's to cut down on the purchase of sweets and soda, but it doesn't go into effect until 2028. How about that? Okay. Washington, U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts, Nebraska, Catherine Cortez Masto, Nevada, introduced the Encouraging Law Emerging Ventures of Economic Growth. This would reduce bureaucratic red tape for small and mid-sized businesses seeking to raise capital investment through initial public offering IPOs. I think that's a good thing. Lawsuit. An ICE detainee in Nevada loses an eye in a psychotic episode after being denied meds. Yeah, oh well. Nevada ranks last for youth mental health, but a new program is offering teens tools to cope. And 37 missing minors found and rescued in California and Nevada. 7 arrests are made.
Wow. That's a lot of feedback there, Ron.
Good.
Ron, Nevada is showing us the standard of how to report, and I'm working hard to try to get the top 7 things instead of the top 30 things, but we're getting better at it.
You just cut me off once time.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So I'm gonna call on some new members here that it's their first time tonight. So I'm gonna start with Billy. Billy, you're unmuted. So Frank
McGowan is my name.
Billy McGowan. Yeah. Frank recruited you to come on, and I think you were in Alabama and now you're in Florida, right? So is that right?
Yeah, I moved down to this peninsula here in Miramar Beach, which I'm basically 2,000 feet from the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America, or Gulf of Steve Martin, if you happen to watch the 50-year anniversary of Saturday Night Live, and the Choctawhatchee Bay. So it's pretty cool. I can ride my bike either way any given day, so it's really good.
Perfect.
So I wanted to just go real quick, offer a couple of comments. In 1868, the Constitution was amended in anticipation of the systemic corruption currently manifesting in the United States. In the 14th Amendment, Section 3, breach of oath to uphold the Constitution is rebellion against the Constitution. the oath of office is the key to everything in politics, is key to everything in life in the United States. A breach of oath, when you do that, under the Section 3 that I just read, I didn't read Section 3 to you, but what that means is you automatically have self-executed your termination from your official capacity. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, every official who takes an oath, and everyone takes an oath, and that is in the United States government, in the state governments, or in the military. So you breach your oath, you're out by operation of law. And the reason that the Constitution was amended for that was to keep you from having process in between someone breaching their oath and them being out. Because if you had process, all you got to do is just the same thing we've got in the judicial system. Somebody said it earlier tonight. It's corrupt. Yeah, well, if you have to go through the judicial system, you're never going to get anywhere, because the judicial system is the problem. Is there's not a United States Department of Justice attorney or a United States District Court judge who has not self-executed their own termination, because they administer laws that are void ab initio, because they do not pass the muster of the 12-point due process test, which has just been published about what that is, and I make it where y'all can all see it. Is if you can't prove that due process exists in the process that you are implementing, what you did is void. And that has a pretty major implication there, because due process doesn't exist in the United States of America.
Amen.
And that means that every single person in any jail has got to come out, and they're getting ready to come out, because you either have it or you don't. So that's my brief offering for the evening.
No, thank you. And we're looking forward to you coming every week. So this is kind of what we do. We have guest speakers, and then we do intel rounds. So yeah, thank you, Billy McGowan, and he's moved from Alabama, living in Florida, and I'm looking forward to meeting him soon. Thank you for sharing that, Billy. Liz, you've ran for office, and actually in one of the same districts as our Mike Velarde, our tax pillar leader. And
Mike and I ran against each other in a primary.
Right. And I guess Mike told you to come on, and yeah. I found you on TikTok, and here you are. So
found me on TikTok.
So tell me, I know we're going to have a sensitive topic with you in the future, but tonight, what can you share what's going on in Florida? Go ahead.
Florida, we're doing pretty good. They're talking about eliminating property taxes, which, should be illegal anyway. We are, I believe DeSantis gave us gold and silver as legal tender. I don't know how we're going to implement that, but that'll be a good pushback against the digital currency.
Or the fiats.
We have open and concealed carry. You can choose to carry however you wish right now. And then what I've been doing is holding meetings with friends and family who grow food. So I live on just shy of 4 acres. I've got 18 varieties of fruit tree. I've got 70 chickens out there. My neighbors got chickens, and I'm starting to barter. And really, this is, again, with the animal rights stuff, that's where it goes. It goes to controlling your food. They control the living things as far as animals, and then Monsanto controls your seeds. Seedsavers.com is my favorite, because it's heirloom seeds. Monsanto can't sue you for using them. But my advice to people across America would be grow something, even if it's a tomatoes on your patio, and be able to, or come up with a useful skill that you can barter with, just in case the fit hits the shan, so yes. We're not relying on FEMA to come in and save us.
Which, by the way, our organization has the resiliency pillar, and we actually try to set up nationwide patriots to help out in situations when FEMA isn't there to help.
Nice. Nice. So yeah, I think Florida's doing pretty okay. My big concern right now is the data centers. So I had 30 seconds, not even 3 seconds of me screaming at the data center meeting. And basically, is if we stop using the AI, they don't have much of an excuse publicly to bring it in. The amount of data that they're looking to collect, it's for the global NGOs. It is to catalog every human being and everything about every human being, but also every private garden, all of your food. It's going to catalog every animal. There are different NGOs that are globalist NGOs who want this, one world government, one world order, where, basically we're moving from being free range tax slaves to a rat rack system.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Liz. And since we're in Florida, Rosemarie, you want to add some stuff to that? Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, I am now officially an officer of our HOA here, and I've been working with Elizabeth with the HOA reform committee on the state level. And right now, that bill, which was to help HOAs eliminate HOAs because the overstepping of many of the overreaching of the management companies and all of this, it has come to the point where now the bill has passed the House of Reps, and it has passed the Senate. It's being worked upon, I believe, by it's in committee, and the bill is HB 657, and it will give the opportunity to dissolve HOAs if it comes to pass by July 1st. Every HOA will have to review all its laws and bylaws and so forth and go over them, approve or disapprove those by the end of December. So it is going to impact a lot of people because Florida has the most HOAs of any state. And this is going to be very interesting because if it passes, there's going to be changes galore with regard to home ownership and so forth. The people who have Juan Carlos, Representative Juan Carlos Porras, said this experiment of HOAs has failed, and that we need to really take a good look because people have actually lost their homes due to excessive penalties and so forth. And when we buy land, we should be able to use our land the way we want to, because we own the land, not the HOA. So it is very interesting, and we are waiting to see as this bill passes, goes along, and if it will pass and so forth. But I think it will, because 100% of the Senate had approved it. So we'll see what happens.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Rosemarie. And we're going to go now to Tennessee, Oklahoma, California, Hawaii, kind of like that. We're going to kind of go east to west here. So Teresa, our Christian Pillar leader, go ahead and share any updates you have. Go ahead.
Well, since I don't leave my house a whole lot, I guess the only thing I got to share is that today we actually had snow and rain, a mixture together. So it was quite different after living in Florida all these years, past 36 years. So that went on until late morning. And then, we just have this cold front coming, but that's about it for me.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Mhm.
Before I call on Leslie, let me see if Amanda Ohio's got anything. I'll wait 5 seconds. She doesn't unmute. I'll go to Leslie. Leslie, get ready to unmute. What's going on in Oklahoma? Thank you so much for trying tonight, but you're still having feedback, so I'm on mute. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So if y'all haven't heard what's been happening in my state, I'm sure you probably heard that President Trump tapped Senator Markwayne Mullin from our state to take Kristi Noem's cabinet position. And so right now, I'll just put it this way, the rhinos are fighting on who is going to take his empty seat. Governor Stitt is right now in D.C. meeting with Trump to discuss the appointment. It's been a week since the announcement. He still has not named who he's going to appoint. So it's going to be interesting. But we will share that I spoke with Pastor Jackson Lawmire's co-pastor and campaign manager when he first ran against Senator James Lankford in 22. They have been in prayer, and they are considering running for that congressional seat, CD1, that Kevin Hearn is in right now.
He's in DC too, isn't he? Okay.
And so, anyways, but yeah.
Was that Connie?
Yeah, that's Connie. Connie's here.
What's up?
Hey.
Yeah, she got here a little while ago. She's off right next to me.
Well, thank you for the updates. Is that all you got for now?
Yep, that's all I got for now.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie, our Oklahoma State Director. Now we're going to go to Cali. So I'm going to call on Christian, our State Director leader. I got to tell you, yesterday, RAF, reported on the fraud when it relates to elder care and things, hospice and things like this. And CBS had a big report yesterday that said Los Angeles is the hospice fraud central of all America. So Gavin Newsom's going to be in the hot seat, just like Tim Walz, which I don't know why Tim Walz is not in jail yet. But anyway, what's going on in California, Christian? Thank you so much.
Okay, quickly, California has a bunch of new laws that were passed. The plastic bags are now banned from all stores in this state, and you have to use recycled paper. Housing tenants, so rentals, you must provide a rental property, has to provide a refrigerator and a working stove to all tenants. That's now part of the deal. When you rent out a property, you got to provide them with a refrigerator and stove. The AB 489 prohibits AI from pretending to be a licensed professional. So if you're asking AI anything, the AI can't say that it's a professional doctor or a licensed plumber or something like that. But how are they going to enforce that, you know? So that seems like a bogus law that they just passed. There is SB 627 prohibits law enforcement from wearing masks to hide their identity during public interactions. So the police in California can no longer wear a mask. The minimum wage in California is now $16.90. So everything is going to go up in price. McDonald's just announced that they're going to go back to a $3 value meal. Try to feed people that aren't making that much money, but at $16.90, all basically $17 an hour, I think everyone can afford
Christian, the last
a
time you
$3
guys raised,
burger.
minimum wage, prices just went up the roof. It's just going to happen again. When are they going to get it? When are they going to get that they're just keep doing this?
They're going to keep doing this all the way up until they hit $20 an hour.
That ain't enough for them. They want
No.
they want a 40, they want a 45. It's madness. But thank you for sharing that.
Well,
that's
the higher the dollar per hour, the higher the dollar per hour that you make, the more money they collect in taxes. So I have one other thing that's not publicly spreading around right now, and that's the salmon population in the state of California has doubled in the past from last year. So it's now in 2026, it's projected to be twice as much as 2025, and they are now talking about opening up the salmon fishing in a limited capacity this year. So that could be good news for sportsmen. And I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully we can start catching salmon as far south as Ventura, California, as it used to happen. And that's it.
Wow. Thank you for that report, Christian. Now we're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to talk to Victoria. So, Victoria, what's going on in your state? How did the election meeting go this week? What's the madness this time?
There's a lot of madness here. On top of, we have 2 emergency proclamations by our governor. And he is nominating people and then unnominating people. It is quite hilarious. We have a lot of bills going through legislation right now too that are huge. I cannot give you details on every single one of them. Elections Commission meeting though, it was very nice, but at the same time, you know the bad players when the good ones are laughing hysterically on camera when the bad guys lose their cool. So we did get a lot of progress done, and we're actually holding the chief elections officer to follow the law. And no, we don't have to ask our AG for permission because we are the people. We gave power to the Elections Commission to tell the Elections Commissioner what to do. We don't need an AG to tell us. So next meeting is August 1st. Happy April Fools. I'm going to be wearing my hat. They did a really good job. We are also putting up a job application for our next chief elections officer, and unbeknownst, well, I looked it up yesterday and confirmed with elections commissioner that most of our elections commissioners are going to be falling off the registrar on the 30th of June. So we need applicants, and applicants need apply. Don't call 911. Their system isn't working. And yeah, we have emergency proclamations. Weather's really bad and kids are going to be out of school, which is why it took me so long to get on tonight. There was Friday traffic on a Thursday.
Wow. Well, Victoria, we appreciate you and all your reports. I'm hopeful that we could make a change to that quadfecta because it was really impacting the Hawaii people. It's really not fair. They're implementing tyranny there for sure. So
it's interesting that divine convergence, right? Strongest form of spiritual warfare, and divinely converged. I was nominated to be on a committee for the Elections Commission, Accessibility Advisory Needs. And after I get in contact with the Senatorial Judiciary Committee and start going through that process, I get an email from the governor's board of governors, commissioners saying, oh, we don't think you can get through that process. And Josh Green signed a letter taking back my appointment. And I'm like,
what
happened? Yeah. How do you do that? Especially when I already started the process and have already made an appointment for my interview.
That's not fair.
It's hilarious when you think about it, because I'm already in contact with the Judiciary Committee. I've already had people lined up to submit testimony and have been emailing them testimony because they know the senators know them. And now the governor is saying, no, we don't want to appoint her. Oh, that's interesting. Did you tell the Senate that before you did that? Because they have no clue, because we're already scheduling an appointment.
Wow.
Somebody's going to get caught with their pants down, let's put it that way, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
If I were in your shoes, I would keep continuing wearing the hat, and maybe he realized you're going to expose them and he cut you off, so
yeah, about 15 minutes into the Elections Commission meetings when I got that email, so seems timely, right? The governor appoints the Elections Commissioner. I also applied for Elections Commissioner's position, and I qualified to do his job also. So who knows? God's got this. But in the meantime, enjoy the show.
Thank you so much, Victoria. We're going to go to McGaysel and then Becky, Texas after that. We're going to come back to the mainland. McGaysel, go ahead. What's going on in the corruption pillar? Any news on that side? Go ahead. Thank you.
Kind of piggybacking on Victoria a little bit, and Billy both. As you know, running for mayor, I look into certain issues, and the biggest one is the oath of office, which is why our leaders don't follow the law. As you know, the president has his oath of office under Article 2, Section 1, Clause 8 of the Constitution, and all the other branches are under Title 5, Section 3331, which is the faithful discharge of our duties, swearing under God. And the judicial branch has a second one under Title 28, Section 453, to administer justice without respect to oppression, equal right to the poor and to the rich. And then in 1966, they created another oath, or not an oath, it is an oath, but it's titled an affirmation. And the affirmation is supposed to mirror Title 5, Section 3331, the exception being you don't swear an oath under God. So it's an exemption from on religious basis. The problem with the oath, the affirmation in Kauai and in Hawaii, is they're only swearing to do the job to the best of their ability. Well, with all these selections and appointments, we don't get the cream of the crop. So the best of the ability is a pretty low standard, as evidenced by what Victoria was sharing. I'm sure Susie would share as well. Also, I was looking into fentanyl. In 2025, here in Hawaii, we had one arrest, fentanyl related. And in 2024, we had 2. And data showed in 2023 that of the fentanyl overdoses in our county, 9 of them out of 30 were fatal. And the biggest bust that they talk about was when Homeland Security, ICE came in and arrested 44 people, which some of them were from Trinidad de Aragua, a Venezuelan criminal gang known for fentanyl trafficking here on Kauai. So our local police and state police can't take any credit for that. That was done by ICE. But it did show again, there were only 72,000 people on this island. So that's pretty bad data for the amount of people that we have, considering most of them are children. The other thing they talk about is the houseless or the homeless. The $423.3 million in our budget, we spend 1.07% on housing homeless. So they don't really want to solve the homeless or houseless problem. But the truth is, a lot of the homeless, good portion, do not want to be in homes anyway. But there should be other facilities to take care of their medical and mental issues that we have on this island. A lot of them obviously got caught up in the indoctrination of the COVID and the bioweapon. And now they're beginning to learn. Thank God there's an actual case going on in the Netherlands right now with Bill Gates, Pfizer, and people on trial regarding people who were injured, vaccine injured. So you might want to keep an eye on that case in the Netherlands. The other thing, we have 32 nonprofit organizations that do food distribution in Ireland. Seems like a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot again per capita. We have 938 nonprofit organizations that have assets worth $1.02 billion and 456 million in revenue, which is a lot again for an island of 72,000 people. So we have a lot to do. I liked the speaker earlier because he kept emphasizing accountability, and that's going to be a good portion of my platform. People first.
I'm waiting, hopefully before it's too late, that we get accountability.
Yeah, so there'll be accountability on this island if I get elected. And we'll keep pushing for accountability even if I'm not. That's the key, and each department head will have to be accountable. Their departments by going out and meeting with the people at our neighborhood centers, listening to their real concerns and problems, offering them problem resolution, or to tell our residents how they're improving the quality of life in their neighborhood, in their community, and on the island. So that's kind of where we're at now. I'm doing a lot of preparation for Viper interviews. The Hawaii Republican Party is having a convention Sunday, so even though I'm a nonpartisan candidate, I've been invited to speak there for a few minutes and see how that goes. Hawaii is more rhinos than actual Republicans.
That's true. That's true. You guys are definitely being played by all of those people wearing hats over there. On that note, Megan, so thank you. Susie, do you want to add some Hawaii stuff to that?
Well, I just thought this might be a point of interest. Peter Bernegger, who is head of Election Watch, and I believe they're based out of DC, and he'd be a great personality to have on the show because he covers a lot of states.
What's his name?
Peter Bernegger. He's on X, BERNEGGER.
Okay, hang on.
He is definitely, yeah.
I'm gonna send it to Valerie because she's gonna get on.
Yes, he'd be a great person to bring on. He's actually helped us out a lot with the election commission, and he actually filed a lawsuit against Scott Nago, who is the chief election officer, because he had not been HAVA compliant to the tune of something $30 million that has not been dispersed to the other counties as it should have been. And this is going for years back. So that constitutes, from what I understand, a felony for every year this has not been compliant. So he filed a lawsuit in federal court, and yeah, it's just he talks about 2024 election numbers show 76,000 mail ballots counted, 57,000 envelopes recorded. That means 19,000 ballot envelopes are missing. And so the Inspector General has an investigation open for into the chief election officer in Hawaii for falsely certifying in writing to the federal EAC that their state plan for HAVA was current when it was not. So there's a lot of shenanigans, and he's really popped a lot of this out, and it helped us to get, notice from the feds back in DC. So yeah, it's I just thought you'd like to hear about that, because he would be a great person to bring on. He could talk a lot about what's happening with the elections behind the scenes. He helps a lot of states out, and he certainly has helped us in Hawaii, and Ralph Cushing, who is one of the election commissioners here, who has done so much to try to bring people together and expose the truth so that the public understands what's going on behind the scenes with the elections, and God bless him for that. So Ralph has been on before too. It's
Can you text Valerie and I the guy's name? I already forgot what it was, but thank you for sharing that, and we will try to get him on for you. Okay.
absolutely, I will. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So we're going to go now to Texas, then Kansas. So Becky, tell us what's going on. Did Ken Paxton win? I'm kind of lost about what happened.
Okay, so Texas finished the primary and we're into the runoff stage. And the biggest race there is between John Cornyn and Ken Paxton. Well,
I don't like Cornyn. I don't like him at all.
I don't either. He's definitely a rhino.
He's 100% a rhino, and he's antichrist. And I got receipts. He's not a Christian.
Well,
he's not.
He had the nerve, right after our last week's meeting, he had the nerve to say that he was not gonna, he's stalling on backing Trump's Save America Act unless he gets Trump's endorsement over Ken Paxton. However, I think a couple of days ago, he gave into that and then decided to go ahead and back the Save America Act.
We need to primary him out, and I hope that this runoff will be in our favor.
What Texas is trying to decide between the two of them is who can beat that guy, James Tallarico, who, of course, he was the one that defeated Jasmine Crockett. Now, the thing about James Tallarico is he's been known to say things like, quote, God is non-binary, unquote.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. This Cornyn guy was saying this.
Well, no, Tallarico is the one that said that.
So did Cornyn. I got the receipts.
Well, and then Tallarico also said that he's going to firmly oppose any attempts to keep biological men out of women's bathrooms. Now, this is the guy that they think is going to beat either Cornyn or Paxton. What I read an article about, the reason why they think that he can win is because he's, quote, Texan, because he wears freaking cowboy boots. And they're going to show pictures of him all the time wearing his cowboy boots that say he's a real Texan. Oh, man, it just croaks me. But yeah, the only other thing is...
have you guys calmed your Muslim situation down in your state?
I haven't heard anything about the Muslims this week. But what I did hear is I didn't realize how bad Corpus Christi was in the drought situation, because they would mention it here and there, but at the same time, they would mention drought situations throughout the country. So I thought, the whole country was basically in a drought. But I don't know. Did you guys hear about Greg Abbott's little announcement that the state gave Corpus Christi $750,000 to take care of the water drought? And they're saying that Corpus Christi squandered at least $50,000 to $60,000 of it. And the biggest thing is that the city council doesn't know how to make a decision. And we do have a weak city council, but we've been working on replacing it. We replaced 2 last year. There's also papers to, what do you call it? Get rid of the mayor. I forget what that term is. When you get petitions to get rid of her. Yeah, impeachment. Thank you. I got you. Yeah, we have let people getting signatures to impeach our mayor. And she does seem a little incompetent to me. But also our city manager, he has got to go. He is way overpaid. He makes more money than Bill Gates. That's incredible for a city our size. But anyways, yeah, he's too highly paid, and I believe he's corrupt. It seems like it to me. But anyways, that's what I've got from Texas.
Thank you so much for that, Becky. And I want to talk to you this week, so let's chat. Frank, Kansas, let's turn your phone sideways and share what's going on in Kansas. Thank you so much.
Turn my phone sideways.
There you are.
Hey, well, listen, Tuesday night, my Jerry Hattrick's hockey team won the 45 and older for Kansas, our 7th cup running over. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So, I was considering retiring out of this group because I turned 70 in May, and then
We're live. We're live. Don't say that stuff. We're live.
And I decided, nah, I'll go one more year in this group. I play in another group, but from Charlotte O'Hara was on your show a couple months ago.
Yes.
So I'm kind of using her information here because she's kind of feet on the street. She just got through going into Emporia, Hutchinson, Scott City, a bunch of small areas, Garden City, Salina, and she's going to be in Topeka to testify on Senate Bill 488, a bill to abolish property taxes. So that's a flag she's raising, and she says that the reception from the Senate committee was frigid. I guess she went on the floor. Another thing happening tomorrow on a WebEx, and I'm trying to get the YouTube connection to this, is Aaron Siri is appearing in the Kansas, I guess, House Committee on Freedom of Health, subject matters that you're all well aware of. And I just haven't gotten that YouTube because I guess he comes on at like 8:30 tomorrow morning. He's not going to be in Topeka, but he'll be sent in via telecommunication technology to the Senate or the House floor tomorrow. That should be very interesting because he's one of the few people who's really fighting for the accountability thing that we talked about and fighting for getting poison off the market. It just blows me away. And there's so many people above my pay grade who have been the functional doctors or physicians or PAs that put their practice and their lives on the line. Remember Dr. Rashid Buttar, he was offed in year 1.5 of the jab rollout. A lot of people think it was a directed energy process that he went through. I'm here to tell you there's directed energy processes going on right now that are infiltrating around. It is a frequency. It's a 4 hertz frequency. So the other thing is, and I know this is outside the state of Kansas, but this is universal, is that because of the bombing, because of the fires through the wars, we're bombing ships right now. We have a number of toxic poisons that continue to be put in the atmosphere and rotate out. You can't pick these things up. You can't test for these things. All right. I have a connection who has a connection and knows what's going on. He can sense into the depleted uranium, the plutonium, and cesium and things like that. And now this kind of directed energy weapon, which is it's happening in California, by the way, mostly. So just be aware, I would up your amount of iodine with kelp. You can get it at Whole Foods. Take it up to about 6 drops. And I'm serious.
Oh, he's right. He's right.
Right now.
Got to do it right now.
I was tested today by Chinese wizard, I call him. And he said my iodine levels, and I've been taking this stuff for a long time. He says you got to be very, very consistent every day. And so I held the thing in my hand. He goes, okay, Frank, you have to be at 6 drops a day minimum.
Wow.
All right, I just
I'm
got
behind.
Well, hey, we all were, okay? Because it's getting worse. All right. The other
6?
part, yeah, right. And it's different. Listen, it's different for each person. But Debbie and I we went through this. It's kind of like a dowsing methodology that our friend has capability of. And where we were at 3, we were at 4. Now he's like, no, you got to be at 6. So just FYI. I did get the YouTube link. I'll put it in here. Someone just sent it to me, I think. So I get to put it on there. The other big thing I'd mention in Kansas, because as you know, in the world of entertainment, you have these big stadiums being created and kind of, in bid, what state gets to do this stadium through what star bonds. And what Kansas is doing is trying to run this, I think it's called Bill 2793, the Sport Authority House Bill. And they don't want to go through open committee, hearings. They just want to ramrod this thing through and then use the star bonds as funding mechanisms, which have always hurt us. They're doing this with the data centers. They did it with a Panasonic facility 2 years ago for making, lithium batteries. So, I mean, this stuff just keeps going on. The problem is, hey, if they don't have open committee hearings, then they just run it right through. I mean, it just blows me away. So that's really all I was gonna kind of mention tonight. And as I said, so Billy was on. If you can see this book,
Rule of Law.
Yeah.
Put it in front of your face.
Okay.
And shake it a little. Shake it slightly. Okay, it's not working. Back it up. Yeah, it's not working. But anyway, tell there. Hold it there. Don't move it. Don't move it. Don't move it. Well, so what about it?
So that's the book Billy's friend Ronald P. Bouchard Jr. wrote a couple months ago. And Billy did a back cover, kind of his quote on here. But what he was talking about tonight is well documented inside that, and it's something that he can elaborate on. I am not any expert into this area at all, but the book itself, I think, and I'll put it in the chat or get it to you so you can put it through the system.
Yeah.
And Billy, I've known Billy since a Red Pill Expo in 2022, I think. 21 or 22. And through that meeting with Billy, I've done a lot of stuff around the country with. He is an ex-bar lawyer. He's a freedom advocate. He loves the University of Alabama football and basketball like no one else. So it's nice that he got on here. Hopefully he can bring some kind of clarity to what he and Ronald in this rule of law, a nation of laws, not men, is all about. Because I think it's exactly what many of the people, especially Magaso, Ron, talk about. And now it's in a book form, I think. So, I mean, you know me, I kind of focus more on the health, wellness, and all that area. My jam is not typically in the whole political arena, although I'd like to have these, what was it called? Tribunals? Tribunals. Interesting concept, hear about it often, but we haven't seen, and remember, Anthony Fauci he's got a ticket on Jeff Bezos's ship to Mars. So if you didn't know it, he got an early bid into that, and he's getting out of here. Okay, he's out of here. And a bunch of other people are going underground. So, I'm like, I ain't going underground, and I'm not going to Mars. I don't care what happens above ground. I'll have my iodine and some other stuff that I got. So, and Victoria's laughing like crazy. I love it.
Well,
all right, that's enough from Kansas.
All right. Well, Frank, thank you so much. And related to Bill, he's going to be part of our Patriot family.
Good.
And we're gonna listen to all the details he'll give us every week, and I look forward to building a relationship with him. He's not too far from me now, so we're gonna figure all that out. We're gonna actually, those that are watching the live stream, I need you to really pay attention. Okay, March 18th, okay, which is March 19th, next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Colonel Douglas McGregor, and we're going to have probably 2 hours with him, probably.
That's good.
Because last time Charlotte was after him, and I booted him off, and he's like, I wanted more time. So that ain't going to he's not going to have any guests after him next week. It's going to be all him, and all of us are going to get to ask him probably hundreds of questions.
And remember, Ashley, what at the end of that session with him, he was going to get into his discussion with Peter Thiel.
That's coming. Let's bring that up. So make sure you remind him, hey, you're going to talk to us about Peter Thiel. I want everyone to know what's really going on with Palantir and all that stuff. So
Peter's our new nationwide Christian pastor, by the way. He's advocating, he's got Silicon Valley getting all Christian up, and it's such a ruse.
Yeah, they're playing games. So those that are watching the live stream, please join RedAmericaFirst.com, sign up. We want you to come here, share your opinion, tell us what's going on in your state. But we're going to end the live broadcast for the moment. Valerie, if you're hearing me, please go ahead and hit stop broadcast. I want to talk